The top athletes in the world are peak performers on the field, but what about what's between their ears? Todd Herman has spent 20-plus years as a mental coach, a mentor, and now author of a new book called The Alter Ego Effect. And when Todd joined us in studio, I started off by asking him to explain exactly what it means, the alter ego effect.
Is a psychological tool that we use to help people access the true heroic self that sits inside, right? Like, there are so many athletes who will play down on the rung of the ladder to, give up the ball to someone else to play or make the final shot, or they don't believe in themselves or they doubt themselves or whatever. And my job is to, remove all of that sort of psychological gunk, and we use the idea of an alter ego, just like Kobe Bryant used a black mamba to help him activate this killer out on the court. And there's so many athletes, and it's a powerful way to get all of yourself out on that field.
And I think what's so interesting about this is that, it's famously been said that 90% of the game, half of the game is 90% mental, but that's really the point, is that there is a small physical difference between the players that are practice squad players and NFL stars. The bigger difference is what's going on between their ears. And you are the one that's helping to trigger some of this. And one of the things that I found most profound in some of the things that you said is that we as humans are the only ones that tell ourselves stories. We're the only ones that use our imagination. Well, why not use that to become your own superhero?
I mean, I've said that truly the only thing that makes a human being unique is the fact that we have a creative imagination. We have an ability to build stories and narratives in our head, to create heavens from hell and hells from heaven. For many people, they're creating a hell from heaven. They actually have the skills, and that could be in sport and business and life, whatever that might be. And we forget about this creative imagination. We use it as kids. That's the powerful thing about this concept, is everyone has used it. Every single human being that's listening to this right now, watching this right now, has used the idea of a superhero when they were a kid, when they jumped off the sofa as Superman or Wonder Woman or Black Panther nowadays, or when they're in their front driveway pretending to be their favorite superstar athlete of LeBron James. And what you're doing is you're asking yourself this question of, what could I do if I was that? Which means that you're now associating yourself with a new identity, which actually now untaps new skills. And there's a great study that was done at the University of Minnesota, where they brought a bunch of 4 to 6-year-old kids into a room, and they gave them a puzzle that was unsolvable. And they wanted to see how long they would stick it out, right? How long would they persevere with this thing that's unsolvable? So they tracked the data, but they were also tracking to see what their self-talk looked like. Well, then they bring in, after they all kind of quit, they brought in this rack of clothing, and it was Batman and Dora the Explorer costumes. And they asked each of them to pick their favorite and put it on. And then they gave them another unsolvable puzzle, and they wanted to see how long they'd stick it out. Well, what was the difference between the two different tests? When they wore the Batman costume or Dora the Explorer costume, they had higher levels of grit and perseverance, which means that they stuck it out longer. But more importantly, for those of us that are parents, their level of self-talk changed as well. They were more positive. They would say things like, well, Batman won't quit, so I won't quit. Dora the Explorer will always find a way, so I'll find a way. Whereas when they were taking the puzzle as themselves, they would say, I can't get this, I quit, or I'm not good at puzzles. Right? But when we actually start acting through a new idea of who we are, that's the power of the human imagination. We suspend the disbelief of what we think we can and cannot do, and now we're activating new traits. Right? Those traits were already there. Those kids could already solve the puzzle or stick with it longer. They just needed a new identity to help make that happen.
And I think what's so cool about that is that it is in every single person. It's just a matter of being able to access that. There are plenty of places where you're going to be able to get information. And by the way, this stretches beyond the field of play. It stretches into business, to everyday life. And by the way, we're not going to be naming any clients. You've not named any clients in this, but you've had plenty of interactions with athletes that weren't your clients that have clearly used this in the past as well. I thought the most interesting one was Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson, you might see as someone that is calm, cool, and collected. But that's only, he says, because of his alter ego.
I mean, he was, as a youngster, Bo Jackson, phenom of an athlete, right? But it would be so easy to dismiss all of his achievements to just the fact that he was a physical specimen. Because there's, like you had said before, almost all athletes are physical specimens now. There's not much separating them anymore. And for him, he was growing up, when he grew up, he was an angry kid, and that would get him in trouble on the field. He would take maybe poor penalties, or he would not be all that coachable. And so one night he was watching a movie, and he saw this character come on the screen that was cold, calculating, methodical, and unemotional. And he looked at that character and he thought, wait a second, why don't I take that character out onto the field? That's my new persona, so I'm more unemotional. And it was Jason from Friday the 13th. And he's one of my favorite alter egos, because people go, wait a second, he was angry and he went
to be happier.
Yeah, and he took a serial killer out of it. It's like, but that's the powerful part of being a human being. It's your takeaway. And so for him, he wasn't taking all the serial killer stuff. He was taking the fact that he was unemotional and methodical, and that's what he wanted to start being like out there. And he said, he's like, because we met, and he said, when I went out there, I didn't have a care in the world about scoring touchdowns. My mission was to destroy anything that got in my path with no emotion whatsoever. And that's what helped him, you know, go off and have the career that he had.
You've been doing this for 22 years. You've helped countless individuals, but as we've watched the NCAA tournament, upsets happen left and right. Can this work with a team as well as just, or does it have to happen on an individual level?
No, it doesn't. We all kind of chunk up to like larger identities. It's really powerful for a team to have a powerful identity as well. It's like the idea of like the Transformers all coming together to kind of collectively become a larger transformer, right? But then also just, you know, creating that narrative. It's like the military does that the best, right? What does it mean to wear this uniform, right? They're constantly, you know, hammering home what that story is. So most teams don't do a very good job of like, what does it mean to wear this uniform? Where does this uniform come from? Who else wore this uniform? You know, how do we all show up when we wear this uniform? When you consistently use that, how we do it with our own children at home. We've got 3 little ones. We live here in New York City. Is we talk to them all the time about what it means to be a Herman. Okay, you know, like Hermans help other people. You know, we look out for each other, right? And that's a powerful thing that we can do, because when you chunk someone's personal identity up to something larger that's really powerful for them, you can shift and change their behavior really quickly. And so for those people that are out there that are struggling with the fact that they might not be showing up like they want to, that's a behavioral change. That's actually, if you try to change the behavior, that's a long process. Shift the identity and the behavior automatically changes, just like those 4 to 6-year-olds did in that study.
It's been entertaining to read the book. I urge everybody to get out there and pick this book up, or download it, or whatever. It is the alter ego.
I tell people all the time, you're going to be buying it anyway, because my mission in life is to have every single human being on this planet own this book.
Wow.
So you're going to be buying it at some point in time. Might as well make it happen now.
It would be transformative, wouldn't it?
That would be the case.
The Alter Ego Effect, available for download right now. Our thanks to Todd for joining us in studio.